Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elvis Dragon Lady and welcome to my walking cycles blender tutorial. In this video we are going to cover how to make a decent walk cycle since apparently I know a few friends have had a trouble figuring out how to make a good walk cycle, so here we go. So to get started here, we have our regular character here, that's just me. And first thing we want to do is we want to, first off, make sure auto keyframe is turned on. You can do that if it's turned off. You just go down to this little red button here, click that on. That toggles on and off auto keyframe, which is very helpful. So now we got that out of the way. So what you want to do first is you want to kind of bend the torso here a little bit, just so that the knees start to bend about there. And you can see here, this is why auto keyframe is very helpful here. I always keep it on. Anyways, you also want to move the feet out. And there we go. You don't want the legs to bend too much, otherwise it seems like they're just squatting. So I always keep them slightly bent. You can change how far their feet are. That's all based on your personal preference. I like keeping them a little closer together, just to make it a little more realistic. So yeah. So for this, you can also have them lean forward a tiny bit. And what we want to do is we want to grab this foot, and we can do shift, right click, and we can also get this foot here. So when we move these, we grabbed both of them at the same time. Now, what we want to do is, this is also important to remember. Where is it? I animate at 24 FPS. For some reason, it runs a lot better for my computer. However, 30 FPS is probably better for anyone that's beginning. But right now, I'm going to explain it for 24 FPS since that's what I always do. So what you want to do is, you can see here this little button. This is a copy and paste. So you want to copy this and you want to move forward 12 frames. You can just do that by pressing the arrow key and doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, and actually let me zoom in here so you can see better. Alright, and then we can press this thing which is right next to the paste, and what this does, it alternates what you had. So you can see here that the feet switched. And we can do that again, going forward 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we can paste, which will bring us back to the original. So you can see already here we have some motion, which is pretty good. Now, what we want to do, right now she's kind of shuffling about, which is, we don't want that. So what we can do is we can, for this foot here, we move forward 6 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can lift this up you can lift this up around here. It doesn't matter how much, how less, it's all based on your personal preference. This, you can just eyeball it every time. So now you can see it's actually like they're taking a step, and you want to do the same thing for this foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can just kind of eyeball it here, and there we go. So now you can see if we play this, now it's like she's actually taking a step. And you always want to make sure that the feet are alternating. So you can see when this foot's back, this one has the keyframe in the middle of 6, which has her foot going up, and the same for this one. So it's more like walking. Also, another thing we can do is we can move this torso here. Now we want to skip forward 12 frames. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. And we can copy and paste this. And move another 12. And there we go. And now what we want to do is at the 6 frames in, which you can kind of jump around if you cheat like me. Or actually it's better if you do it counting arrow by arrow. Keyframe by keyframe, just so you can, kind of get used to it, get it ingrained in your brain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here we can actually have her move up a little bit, and then she goes right back down. And we can copy this and go forward another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Paste, and there we go. Actually, that's pretty good for now. Okay, moving on. Now we want to move up to the upper torso here to give a little more movement. Now, here comes the tricky part. To make this more realistic, don't have all your keyframes lined up, otherwise it will look very robotic. So what you want to do is you want to offset every keyframe here, so except for the feet and the torso. Those are the only 2 keyframes that should line up. As for the upper body, the head, including the arms and the forearms, you all want those on different keyframes, because then it's add a little more fluidity, kind of more like how a person actually walks. So typically when we have the pelvis, let's say starting at frame 0, we can start the torso starting at frame 1, and we can copy. Actually, you can actually have bend the torso just a tiny bit in the front. There we go. And we can move forward 12, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Copy, paste that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. And we do the same thing here. We go forward 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can reset the rotation by pressing Alt-R. And also you can see here down in the screencast if I forget to mention something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And do the same thing here. And there we go. So now, here we go. Why did my FPS lag there for a second? There we go. See, now we got a little bit more motion here. And it's very important that you make sure that this keyframe is offset from here, meaning that it's like one more than normal. I messed that up. You get what I mean. Now for the head, we want that to start that action later than the torso, so we can do this one more. So that technically that will be starting at keyframe 2 if you're starting from 0 or from whatever. So, and this one we can have the head down a tiny bit, and we do the same. Copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can reset the rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And reset the rotation. Okay, let's take a look. And there we go. See, so now we're getting more of, you can see here, because so the torso here carries momentum. This carries momentum. This carries the momentum. So now it's nice and fluid. Now for the arms, I always animate the arms pretty much around the same time as the head, to be honest. Typically, to be honest, I actually do it at the time of the torso. So let's see if we can, let's position our arms here. Uh-oh. Let's see, let's have them back. And there we go. And you want to make sure that that whatever arm is for, let's say on this case it's the right arm, make sure it's always alternate of the foot. So if the right foot is the right foot's back, the right arm is forward. Or if you want to think of it in this case, left leg's forward, right arm is forward. Okay. So now that we have that, we can do the same thing. We can press this bone here, and we can do shift right click on this arm as well. We can copy and go forward 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we can press this little thing here, which will alternate it for us. Like that. And we can press paste again, which will return it to the normal. So now you can see, now we got some arm movement. Now, we should move the forearms a little bit. This way it just gives it a little bit more motion. And once again, we want to make sure that it is offset from the top arm. So we want to move the forearms one keyframe afterwards, and let's add a slight bend to them. Now for the arm that's forward, I always give it a little more bend, since that's kind of how like people walk. The forearms are a little more bent in when they're up in the front, and they're a little more out and extended towards the back. So that's what I do. We can do shift right click, do the same 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, alternate 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, and there we go. So now, and there we go. So now we have a little bit of a walk cycle. Now let's explain a little bit about the dope sheet. So let me press A here to select all. You can see here these are all the keyframes for all the different components. We can go up to here, animation. Let's get rid of all this here. And another thing that would be very helpful, especially if you're making a bigger animation, you're gonna see that it's gonna list all the things here, and eventually it just gets bigger, bigger, and bigger, and bigger, which can be a hassle to deal with. So what you can do here is you can actually press this little cursor here, which will isolate what you have clicked. So since I have my rig here clicked, it will only show the keyframes for this thing, which is very helpful. Now what we want to do, we can scroll in. You can see that everything here is selected. If it's not, you can just press A, no problem, and it's selected. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure all of these keyframes are selected, and we can press Shift D to duplicate, and then press G to move it over. And you want to make sure that all of these keyframes line up. So you want to make sure, you can see here these last, and they didn't show for 3, but as you can see the last 3 here, I'm going to do it again. Okay, so you can see here I have all my keyframes. So what I make sure is I make sure that these last 2, the last set, overlap each other. So this way it's all one continuous motion. And you can just duplicate this over and over and over and over. Oopsies, I messed up. There we go. And if you're not sure how well you did it, you can always go back and you can watch it. I don't know why the FPS is dropping. I have to go back into here to default. And there we go. We have our walk cycle. Now one problem, which isn't really too much of a deal, but for me it kind of bothers me a tiny bit, is that the feet slide here. You can see that, I mean, it's not very clear when standing still, but just trust me on this, it's going to be very handy for later. So let's go once again back into the dope sheet, and on this thing here we can right click that, get down the pull down sheet, and we'll see all the curves for the right leg. Now the ones that are important is the Z location, so we can just press all these, hide all that, not important. Let's make this bigger here. And delete that. Okay, so you can see here these are all of the F curves of the right leg, and you can see here they're all right now set to what they call Bezier, or I don't know how to say it, and which is pretty good, especially if you want to have the fluidity of the motions. However, if you notice, every time she puts her foot down, which happens to be this keyframe, it kind of slides. You see, it's not really like she's putting her foot down and staying there. So what you want to do is you want to grab all the keyframes where her foot lands, which in this case is all the bottom ones. You can just press B, hold down left click and drag, which will capture all of these keyframes here. you can press T and set it to linear. So then her foot would stick, and we want to do the same thing to the other foot. Let's hide all of these unnecessary lines. Where does her foot land? Here. Okay. So once again, these are all of the bottom keyframes. Do that. T, linear. Okay. Another thing you can do is if you're not very happy with how much this is bending, you can go into, once again, this is working in the dope sheet. You can click on your bone. For this example, let's say it's the torso. And we want to change the X location, which is, I believe, is what controls it. Let me see here. Okay, apparently that's not it. I don't think. What is it? Is it? Hold on, I'm having some technical difficulties here. Okay, I changed that back. It's the X quaternion rotation. This is what we want, not that one, this one. This is what controls the rotations. And you can see here that's all like little bumpy up and down. And what you can do is you can grab all these keyframes, and I'm doing this by right clicking, holding down shift, and you can just go back, click, click, click. I know there's an easier way to do this. You can do it with the B left click hold drag technique. However, the keyframes are so close to each other that you kind of don't hit them. But just to show an example of if you're not happy with how much this is rotating and you don't want to go back and fix it all manually, you can just go into the dope sheet, choose where the rotations happen, and you can select them, press G, and you can control how much just by raising and lowering. They're pretty subtle right now. I'm quite happy with how it is, but if you like having it with a little more bounce or something, you can always raise it like this. It's no problem. And you can do the same thing for the head. It's in the X quaternion rotation. You can grab these keyframes and you can move it as you wish. Okay. Now, since I'm pretty happy with how this walk cycle looks, let me go into this camera view. Let me turn off that so you can see. And there we have our walk cycle. Now, right now our person is standing still. One thing that is a major part is moving the main trackpad here. Excuse me. So what you want to do, you want to copy and paste where this is, and then click on either foot, find where it stops the motion. You want to double check that with the other foot. Okay, good. And we can copy paste that again. And what we can do is we can move this forward like so. And if we go back, so now our character is moving. However, here's the issue. As you can see, it starts out really slow. You can see she's kind of walking in place, and then it speeds up. And then as we get towards the end, it slows down, and it just looks really bad. There is a very easy trick to fix this. All you do is just go into the dope sheet. In this case, it's called animation. And you can see here are the F curves of the main route, and you can see this is why it slows, speeds up, and slows down. What we can do is if it's not all selected, just press A again. T, linear. And what this does, this evens out the motions so it doesn't speed up and slow down. And this should definitely help with the motion of your character. And if we play it again, you see now it's all going in one speed. And actually, this seems a little slow to me. We can actually pull her back a bit more. There we go. And there's our walk cycle. I don't know why my FPS is dropping. I might be because I'm screen recording, but as you can see here, that is our walk cycle. It's very simple, not simple at the same time. It's just the little tricks that it really comes in handy. So, yeah. So that is our walk cycle. Now you can, however, if you have, whoops, let me do that. If you have a female character, you can add a little bit of a hip wiggle. I guess I never really did, to be honest, but if we look at this little tiny bone between the torso and, or the pelvis and the torso, there's a hip bone. Now if we move this around, it kind of moves our hips around. So if you have a female character, I mean, you can do this. I would probably offset this by 1 keyframe. So in this case, I guess it could be, I don't know. I never really did the hip wiggle, so this is first time for me. Okay, I'm not going to do it for all of it because that's just too much, but I guess, let me see how this looks. It doesn't really show too much. I will have to play around with that. But I mean, typically I don't do the hip wiggle. It's just my personal preference. You can, however, if you want, but it's not necessary. So let me just delete all these keyframes. I'm doing this like that. Okay. So, alright, so let's take one last look at our walk cycle. Let me move back out a little bit here. Like so. And there we have it. We have our walk cycle. Yay! So, and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be asking about a run cycle. It is all basically about the same steps. However, the keyframes will have to be much closer. Maybe in another tutorial I can explain how a running cycle works. It's very similar to a walk cycle. However, there are a few little things to keep in mind for a run cycle. So, depending on that, just let me know what other cycles you want to see. That I could probably try to help out with. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye! Oh, I also forgot to mention, we have almost hit 100 subscribers. Woo! Only 6 more to go. So for that, I will be doing either a render or a drawing giveaway. As you all know, if you follow my Twitter page, I've been doing a lot of digital drawings. And just a quick sellout moment, go check out me and my boyfriend's Twitter page, @PsychosInLove. We will both be posting drawings there. He does some drawings as well, which are pretty awesome, so go check that out. And for the giveaway, all you have to do is retweet, follow, and leave a comment with either your Minecraft username or any suggestions of what you want for a render or a drawing. Just let me know. If you don't play Minecraft, that's alright. I can always make something up. So yeah, go check out @PsychosInLove. Awesome drawings there. Keep a lookout for the giveaway, and I can't wait to hit 100 dragonettes.